Let's move on to our fourth and final main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth and final main topic today?
This is from Nick V. Hi, John. Looks like you were absolutely right when you said you don't believe that D&D are out of Star Wars just because they got busy with their Netflix deal. There have been a bunch of reports out today from the major outlets talking about how the behind-the-scenes drama and lack of freedom. How do you assess the situation now with these new reports? I mean, you called it the other day where you didn't believe it. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I'm not Nostradamus here. I think a lot of people were smart enough to figure out that there was more to this story than just, oh no, we're so busy.
Oh, no.
We weren't expecting to be so busy. That was clearly, I said, probably a part of it, but clearly not the final thing because they had a contract. When you have a contract, you don't just get to go to the person you signed a contract like, oh no, we're so busy.
No,
oh,
Kevin Feige is busy.
Kevin Feige
is busy.
Okay?
And he's figuring out how to
occupied.
make it all work. So.
Yeah, you are occupied, kid. No, you go to Bob Iger and say, oh no, we're so busy now. Bob Iger's going to say, good for you.
Yeah, figure it out.
Contract right here, figure it out. You can't just go, oh no, now I got to go. There was more to it than that. And Variety, Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, all of them started putting out stuff. I, obviously, like everybody else in this business did, I put out a few feelers as well. And between the people I spoke to and all the stuff that we're getting from Hollywood Reporter, Variety, it wasn't just the fact that, oh no, we're so busy with Netflix. There is more to the story. According to the sources in the major trades, and what I heard as well, was that this has been brewing since August. That apparently, when they signed the Netflix deal, which was not prohibited under their existing deal with Star Wars, apparently it caught Kathleen Kennedy by surprise. And Kathleen Kennedy, from all reports, was incredibly unhappy. She wanted these guys focusing on Star Wars until Star Wars was done, or at least significantly being close to having their stuff done. And she didn't like the idea of them trying to juggle and multitask, developing multiple shows and movies for Netflix while also trying to work on her stuff at Star Wars, which she signed them to first. To that point, I would say this. I get where she's coming from. As a matter of fact, I agree with her. If I'm overseeing something as important as Star Wars, I want the people working on it to be dedicated to that until at least a significant part of the work is done. However, and you all know, I've said this ad nauseum, I'm a big Kathleen Kennedy fan. If this were sports, to me, Kathleen Kennedy is a first ballot Hall of Famer in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. She's a first ballot, no questions asked. She's in the Hall of Fame. When you look at her body of work and what she's contributed to this business, she's one of the best of the best of the best. First ballot Hall of Famer, no question. But I have been critical, and just because I'm a fan of hers doesn't mean I'm not going to be critical when I think something's being done wrong, about her inability to properly vet and get on the same page with the filmmakers she has hired. And we won't walk through all of them again. We've done that a couple times in the last few days. But this situation with Benioff and Weiss just screams to that. If you didn't want them working on Netflix stuff or HBO stuff or Amazon Prime stuff or CBS stuff while they're working on Star Wars, figure that shit out before you sign the contract with them. Why was that not part of your discussions with them? Why was that not specifically put into the contract in the first place? That, hey, if you're going to sign up to be part of Star Wars, you agree that until at least, let's say, June of 2020, at least until June of 2020, you're not going to work on other things. You're going to exclusively work on Star Wars stuff until we got a big chunk of the work done on it, and then you're free. This, again, is another example of Kathleen Kennedy being completely ineffectual at doing her job as the head of the studio and properly getting aligned with the people she is bringing on board to make these films. It's yet another example of that. I agree with her that I don't want them working on 10 Netflix series while she's working on Star Wars. Then why wasn't that explored, asked about, discussed, negotiated, and put in writing before she signed her deal with them? And I'm sorry, that's a question that's got to be asked. Because we have seen time and time and time again, huge Kathleen Kennedy fan here, but time and time and time and time again, something comes up that exposes the fact that she did not fully vet or explore or discuss with her potential filmmakers before going ahead, signing a deal and then announcing to the world, only to time and time and time again have them depart for one reason or another. So there's that. So that was one of the things to that. The other thing that we saw was from the point of view of Benioff and Weiss, multiple reports saying they saw how toxic the Star Wars fan base can be. And we can be. And they just decided, you know what? We are not sure we want to be a part of this, especially after they got a taste of toxic fandom coming out of Game of Thrones. I get that from their perspective, okay? From their point of view, I get, plus they were going to be very busy with it, so I get all that. The other thing that gets repeated in all the major trade stories was that with Lucasfilm, with their filmmakers making their movies, they have a limited scope of freedom to making their films that actually turns out to be more limited than what they were promised when they first signed on. What has been repeated in all the sources that have come from both Variety and The Hollywood Reporter is that there are sources telling them that they sign on these filmmakers, tell them they're going to have a certain degree of freedom, only to then have all that freedom they were told. And remember, they were never promised unlimited freedom, but still, whatever amount of freedom they were told they had, constantly having their ideas shot down and not allowed and whatever and moving on. And again, to me, this points to a failure on Kathleen Kennedy's part to properly discuss and work out and hash out how much creative freedom the directors are going to have and how much they're not going to have. What parameters do they have to stay within? And then they get into it and then they renege. Lucasfilm reneges on the amount of freedom, however much that is, big or small. They renege on the amount they told them they were going to have. Again, this is a failure on the whole part of the project, where the preparation part of the project, laying the foundation. And that's where all this stuff seems to fall apart. So between the busyness, which is definitely a factor, between the upset about the fact that they're going to be working on multiple things at the same time when that should have been worked out earlier, the fear of the toxic fandom stuff and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it turned out to be more, but we all knew that. I mean, we all knew it was going to turn out to be much, much more than just that. And it's just unfortunate that it puts us in this situation. I am not calling for Kathleen Kennedy's head. I do believe she should step down as the head of Lucasfilm. I think it would be best for her. I think she can go back to being one of the best producers to ever do it in the game of Hollywood, because this doesn't seem to be her strength. On the other hand, maybe she's learned from a lot of these lessons, right? We're hearing great things coming out about The Mandalorian and how she put that all together with Favreau and Filoni and all. We're hearing good stuff there. Have heard about no drama when it comes to Star Wars Episode 9. Maybe she's learned. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, but it was clear there was more to this story than just, oh no, we're so busy. There was way more to it than that. Anyway, Aaron, you're hearing this story. What's your first reaction to it?
Well, first of all, D&D have just as many hours in the day as Beyonce and Kevin Feige. So if Beyonce and Kevin Feige can figure out their busy schedules, D&D can do the same. That being said, this whole situation, it's kind of an analogy for dating. Or dating is an analogy for this.
I can't wait to hear this.
So a week after Tom and I started dating, I said to him, listen, I know that we weren't expecting this to happen, this thing between us.
You were pregnant. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry.
From your mouth to God's ears. Bring it on. I said, I know that we weren't expecting this to happen. And, you have people in your stable and I have people in my stable. And I'm not expecting you to cut off your rotation, but I'm letting you know that I'm cutting off my rotation.
Can I just say I love that analogy?
I am closing.
I got people in my stable.
You call someone, they're not available. Okay, that's cool. You call the next one on the list. What are you doing? So I said, I'm shutting the doors to my stable because I'm going to try something that I haven't tried before, and I'm going to focus exclusively on you and getting to know you and pursuing a relationship with you because I see that this could be something serious. And if there's any point that you don't feel the same way about me, just let me know and don't waste my time, okay? Because I'm looking for something legit. So I laid the law down pretty quickly. I didn't say, you got to be my boyfriend, you got to do this. I didn't say what he had to do. I just said, this is what I'm doing. And this is where my head's at. And I think that's oftentimes in any relationship, whether it's professional or personal, romantic, whatever, you got to lay down, as you were saying, what your expectations are. And it seems to me that Kathleen Kennedy expected this to be a monogamous relationship. And she kind of just thought that that's what it was. And D&D were like, hey, this is fun. I'll call you on a Thursday, but I got Netflix over here that I'm also going to hang out with on a Saturday. And I'm going to be hang out with them. And I don't really feel like I need to tell you about that because, hey, man, we're just hanging out, right? And Kathleen Kennedy's like, no, we're engaged. So
I love this analogy, by the way.
All of a sudden, there's this big thing because D&D are like, whoa, this is cool and all, but we thought that we never really wanted to get that involved. And then all of a sudden, Kathleen Kennedy's girlfriends and sorority sisters, AKA the Star Wars fandom, are like, excuse me, what the fuck are you doing? Don't mess with my girlfriend. And all of a sudden the hive has descended and they're like, whoa, what's this drama? Okay, I did not want this drama in my life. I just thought I was having a good time. I just got crowned homecoming king. I got everybody coming at me. I got lots more options today than I did 5 years ago. I'm not trying to be tied down to anything. So, you know what? This has been fun. This has been real, but it hadn't been real fun. I'm out. That's what I think happened here. So when you're entering into a relationship, the point is you really just got to say, hey, are you in it to win it? And are you being exclusive with me? Because I'm being exclusive with you. And if you're not being exclusive with me, that's cool. Just go find someone else and I'll do the same.
But have that conversation.
Have that conversation. Yeah, you got to find out and I think that it's really important because it really saves you a lot of time. I've had those conversations. When I first met with Paradigm, I said to them flat out, they were like, okay, well, this has been a great meeting. And I said, listen, here's the deal. I have met with and been passed on by every agent in this town. If you're just going to call me 2 weeks from now or have your assistant call me and say that you couldn't get everybody on board, don't waste my time. Tell me right now, do you want me or do you not want me? Because you know what? I don't want to be in bed with anybody that doesn't want to fuck me. And they were like, well, actually, yes, we want to sign you right now. And I was like, what? And then I started crying and I was like, thank you so much. Ah! So I think that you just got to lay it on the line because what do you have to lose? And especially if you're as powerful as Kathleen Kennedy is, I'm not going to call for her head either. I'm not going to say step down. All I'm saying is, Kathleen, girl, stand in your power. Say what you want and make those boys commit.
And make sure they know what you're expecting from them. Yes. And then don't be surprised later on when... And
if they still want to go screw around with little 22-year-olds wearing vagina dresses, let them do that. Because if that's what they want, then they're not interested in what you have to offer anyway.
Chris, I am dying to know about how your stable and rotation fits into this analogy as well.
My dating
how do you see
experience
this
was
whole
so
thing?
different. I'd be like, can you be my boyfriend? Do you want to get married? And here we are. Worked out nicely. So I'm really fascinated that so many of the things that I kind of dismissed actually were true. Like the whole toxic fan base thing. I just remember being like, I know people are saying that, but they just went through Game of Thrones and they're seasoned writers. I don't think that's going to be a factor ultimately. And it was. So this is why I really wish we had a tell your mom button on YouTube for everyone who says just mean, cruel things behind a keyboard. It affects people. It affects the shows you enjoy. It affects the creators you all like. So maybe, first of all of us, let's take a breath and think about before we hit those keyboards when we say nasty stuff. You can like stuff without being a dick, you know? Assholes our opinions are like assholes. Yours doesn't have to make you one. So easy. That being said, Kathleen Kennedy, who has produced so many of all of our favorite movies, needed to be a stronger, more clear-cut communicator here. And I absolutely will admit that and own up to her dropping the ball on this, because I've been a staunch defender of her. But you need to be able to do all facets of this job. And if you're dropping the ball when it comes to communicating with your creative team, then what are you doing? We got to get somebody else doing that. I'm not calling for her to step down either, but there definitely needs to be kind of a come to Jesus here.
Question here is, guys, a lot of stuff's coming out. I'm not going to be surprised if more stuff comes out about this as well. This is clearly an area of weakness there on the part. And, I was talking, Harloff and I were talking about this the other day. When you have this type of chaos going on behind the scenes, it will bleed over onto the screen at some point. And it's just an interesting situation. What do you guys think about all this right now? Do you think this can be course corrected as they move forward? Are you feeling a little bit more dubious about it? How do you feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.